Nope, that all sounds good. I appreciate that.
Okay, great. So what brings you in today?
So, like I mentioned a little bit, I guess it started a few weeks ago now. I just started in day-to-day life at work and at home for whatever reason, just feeling, generally anxious, I guess you could call it. It feels like it got some tightness in my chest, butterflies in my
Okay.
stomach, things like that. And then, as that continued to happen for what seemed like no reason at all, it started getting to the point where, some days I wouldn't want to, I'd push my alarm back a little bit. I wouldn't want to get out of bed, feeling like not going to work, just not feeling like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned too that I've been in this job for a while. My role hasn't changed. There's not been any more, external pressure as far as, what's going on in the work environment. So I don't
Right.
think that there was, something that necessarily changed to make me feel like this. I don't
Okay.
think that there was an external factor. So I wanted
Okay.
to sort of figure out a little bit more and see if I can get to the bottom of what's going on.
Okay. So we're sensing a lot of lack of motivation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive in. So you're saying that when you wake up in the morning, you just have no desire to get to work. Is it just work, or are you feeling like this on the weekends as well?
Less so on the weekends.
Okay.
Because I know I don't have to go to work. I think a lot of it is surrounded with work and knowing that I have to provide for my family, and
Mm-hmm.
if I can't do that, then sort of what good am I? So
Okay.
I wanted to, I want to make sure that I can continue to do that and not feel like I dread it when I wake up every morning.
Right. Well, obviously, the pressures of work are very common with a lot of people your age and even my age, and so that can definitely be a trigger for a lot of people with their anxiety and their depression. So we'll really try to figure out what it is specifically about work that is causing you to feel this way. How often a week would you say that you're feeling anxious at work or that lack of motivation?
I would say lack of motivation is really where it starts. I sometimes I'll go in and I won't feel like doing much that day, or whatever it might be, and then that sometimes will, if I feel like that and I let it get too far, I get anxious because I haven't done anything,
Okay.
and then it creates that dread of the next day. I don't want to get out of bed because I didn't do anything the day before, so I'm behind.
Sure. Gotcha.
So it sort of starts from there and then gets a little bit worse.
Okay, I understand. So, so this is just kind of, you take it day by day, so you don't really have a number, you would say.
A number of
How many times a day you feel this way?
No, I sort of take it day by day, and I
Okay.
I try to work myself out of it, and then basically just count the clock until it's 5 o'clock and hope to get out of there.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your history then. Just tell me a little bit more about you, your family history, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, sure. So I was born and raised in Indiana. Went to college at Purdue.
Boiler up.
Thank you. I graduated and got my first full-time job out of college. Moved out from my parents' house. I've been living on my own for a couple years now. I've had the same job since I graduated. Like I said, nothing drastic has changed with the company or with the job role
Okay.
or anything like that. So I've been working in insurance for about 3 years now. And the job, it's not necessarily, and it's never been necessarily exciting, but it's been, fulfilling enough and hasn't been too high stress at any point. So this
Okay.
is why it's been such a new experience for me.
Okay, gotcha. Would you say, well, before I get into that, let me go back here. So you said that, let's talk a little bit about your parents. Have your parents ever experienced any anxiety and depression? Does any of this run in your family? Anyone close to you that has experienced the same thing?
Nothing as far as family history that I know of.
Mhm.
I've had friends here and there that have been open about some of the struggles that they've had. So it's
Okay.
why it's, I guess, made me want to reach out a little bit earlier than I think some of they have.
Great.
So
You've just
I
kind of
just-
seen how they've dealt with it themselves, and
right, and I
Gotcha.
didn't want it, you know, to get bad before I realized something was wrong.
okay. Do you have any? Well, you also do you have any? Do you have a sibling? Any siblings?
Yep, I've got a little sister. She's a few years younger than me.
Okay, and she hasn't experienced anything.
Not that I
like
know of.
this? Okay, all right. Just want to double check on family history because sometimes these kinds of things run in the family, and so it might be something other than environmental factors that are happening here. So what I also wanted to ask you about was what about drug and alcohol, as severe as something as marijuana or something legal to something as minimal as caffeine, anything. What is your alcohol and drug consumption, would you say?
Sure. So I'll drink on the weekends. Sometimes I'll have a little bit more than I probably should.
Having a good time?
Yeah. Trying to hang out with my friends like we're in college still. As far as drug use, I don't do anything illicit. It's never really been my thing, but I'll have a few cups of coffee a day depending on how I slept the night before.
Okay. Can you give me a number around cups of coffee?
I'd say usually 2, maybe 3 if I'm really tired that day. But I try not to get, too dependent on the caffeine.
Okay. Any other supplements that you take? Certain vitamins, like workout supplements?
Just protein powder after the gym sometimes, but that's really it.
Okay. Do any of your powders have caffeine in them as well?
One of them does, but I
Okay.
count that into the cups of coffee. That I
Okay, so you're pretty good at monitoring your caffeine intake, is what I'm hearing.
I try to.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. Okay, well this is all great information. Thank you so much for being honest and open. So we can go ahead and dive into really what you've been feeling and maybe those specific triggers at work that are making you feel anxious or unmotivated and things like that. So at this point in the session, do you have any questions for me so far about how this